they're fielding, and whether they will reach out to the hearts and the issue that Kenyans are dealing with. Well, in the studio for this conversation, political analyst Odoyo Owidi, and joining us now, governance expert Brian Mutei. Many thanks for staying with us, gentlemen. And Brian, let me begin with you. 8 presidential candidates, down from 18, of course, but still, do we understand what issues they're fielding?
Absolutely. We are not yet there as a country. We do not really understand what they portend and what they mean for us as a nation when they are actually seeking for that mentorship to fly the nation's biggest office. But I also want to say that right now we are in a transition mode. We are actually, smarting from issues of nomination. And most of the candidates are now putting their houses in order to ensure that now they are able now to go out there to the people and tell them this is what we have or this is what we stand for. And therefore, this being a transition period, we do not expect much from them until they roll up their sleeves and now they go out to the people and now give out what is contained in that envelope. So as for now, for me, I do not want to put them in the corner to demand much from what they have, but now to sit and wait and see what they have when they start now running the campaigns, because now I think as much as we are on the campaigns, we have not seen any party sitting down or, unveiling what they do stand for. Some of the parties will tell you that they stand for social justice. Others will tell you they are standing for, equity and all that. But we have not yet seen any party which has gone there to the people now to unveil the real manifesto. Remember, for instance, NASA, which is actually a grouping of many parties coming together with different manifestos, ODM, Wiper, Amani for Kenya and all that. These parties have different manifestos, and this is the time now. We expect them now, after being cleared from the IEBC, after the presentation of the nomination papers, now to go to the people, unveil what they have, what they stand for, and now we are going to shift. It is going to be a paradigm shift, if I may put it that way, Michelle, when we are now going to listen what they contain, what they have, what they stand for, other than the personalized politics that we have been treated into. Initially, it was like wale watu bado hawajatupatia mtu, hawajatupatia, they have not named their lineup. But now it is going to shift from now the personalized issues of politics to issue-based politics. All right,
Odoyo, well, are we expecting too much from our political parties and political aspirants? Because many would say we've already unveiled our manifesto. I mean, you guys should go read our manifesto and find out what issues we're dealing with. So how else are they supposed to articulate these issues contained in their manifesto?
I think for purposes of news, for purposes of preparing, we are expecting too much. If you held the election today, you're pretty much going to get the same results if you held it on 8th of August 2017.
So there may not be any shift
between now and then?
Nothing is
going to change much during the campaign period. As I told you earlier, Kenyans vote according to tribe, most of it. That is why you see people fight very much that I need somebody on my side, I need so-and-so on my side, and so on. That is why nothing is going to change much. And also you must realize that about 80% of the Kenyan voter have no idea even what to expect from his president. In fact, some think if the president can appoint my tribesman in a position up there, that is just good enough. That is why even some of these campaign narratives that we use, corruption and such things, they don't ring a bell to people who are supporters of the person who is being accused. They don't even understand why. In fact, for them, they call it witch hunt. Yes.
But Brian, do you agree with that, that nothing is going to change between now and August 8th? Because, I mean, we keep seeing an electorate which is coming up as more and more aware every day of the political scene.
I do echo your sentiments that the democratic process in this country is still maturing. The status is still, transiting from one stage to another. And I cannot say that where we are today is where we were, 5 years ago. And therefore, you can see that the citizenry or the citizen class of this country has moved to some level in terms of awareness, in terms of ability to participate, in terms to think regionally, in terms of politics. And to me, I think we are going to see a slight, move from the traditional way of thinking to somehow, issue-based issues, where people would, some pockets would want to hear what somebody brings on the table and what somebody stands for, other than the person, the ethnicized-based issues. But again, that will be a very small portion of the bigger picture, because, as he said, Kenyans, vote along ethnic lines. That's very true, and the change is very small up to now, and we are likely to see, a slight variation in terms of people who feel that they are disgruntled by the two horses, as they want to put it that way, to now tilt to the third way alliance, which is actually headed by Ekuro. They are the so-called undecided. Those are the people who normally get appealed by the party which comes with a new idea, or whom they perceive that might bring something new, other than what the traditional, two parties do bring. So there will be a slight change.
A slight change. Now, speaking of the traditional two parties, we had Ekuro Court just a few minutes ago speaking to our senior reporter, Rita Tinina, and he says it's no longer about a two-horse race. We are the third force here. In fact, they say if they were given that certificate earlier enough, they'd probably be the biggest political party in the country. Odoyo, in terms of getting that third force, because, you would agree with me that we've been in this rut for quite a while, voting along ethnic lines. In terms of getting that third force, are we likely to see it come out of these 8 presidential aspirants that we're seeing submitting the papers this time?
The only thing that can change Kenya today is education and civic education. People must be relatively educated to start finding out, what do I need to see in my leader to vote him in? In fact, that story of Ekuru Court, I listened to it, and I was saying that this guy now is the fourth way alliance, because independent candidates have come and squeezed themselves in between, that most likely he may not be number 3 as he had initially imagined. In his heart, I knew he was trying to get number 3 so that he places himself for the future political battles. But I can see the independent candidates are going to push him to 3rd place. Many of these voters do not even know whether independent candidate is a political party or something else. So I think Dr. Ekuru, I liked what he said, but that is theory.
All right, and of course there he is on the screen there. Very early, among the first ones making his way into the IEBC there to give the nomination papers. But Brian, that third force that Kenyans so direly need to change the political scene in the country, is it likely to come out of this list of 8 names that we've been given?
I think a that force or that way alliance as a party by Ekuro stands a good chance to actually fish out on those who are, or fishing, or capitalize on those who are, feeling politically disgruntled. But I would want to say that, as my friend would want to say that independent candidates are going to pose a big challenge in the equation. Personally, I do not see it that way, because Kenyans are, known to coalesce along political parties, which again are normally determined by the personalities who normally bear the face of that party.
Right.
And somebody without a face, as far as an independent candidate without an inclination, will be a tall order for him even to convince the masses to vote for him. And therefore, I do not see the threat of independent candidates.
Isn't already something that they already got the 2,000 signatures from the 24 counties? Isn't that a show of approval, so to speak, from the electorate?
No, not necessarily. I think these signatories, these signatures they are getting, they can get them anywhere. And that does not really reflect the right situation on the ground. These signatures are found anywhere. Anybody given some few coins can append the signatures, and that does not really depict the picture on the ground in terms of support. But again, I also wanted to say that whether Ekuru Court is going to produce that kind of challenge to the two horses, and as you said, is no longer a two-horse race as we would want to be told. But I also want to say that as much as these groupings are still, information, we are yet to see. We are likely to see even the 8, again being whittled down. Some are going to be knocked out some are pretenders, others just colorless fellas. And we are likely to see them even whittled down to maybe support maybe the Equatorial Court. So he's going to, stand a good chance of shaking the equation as it is right now.
Yes, rattling it a bit. But also just focusing, Odoyo, on this two-horse race that we've been focusing on for a very long time, Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta. Raila Odinga will be submitting his nomination papers today, and we expect him to be accompanied by a host of his supporters to the KICC. But again, the kind of politics that we've seen between the two has been a lot of wordplay, just talking at each other. What are we expecting now that the official campaign season has kicked off in terms of just articulating their issues and articulating them in a peaceful manner?
First of all, when I go back to this two-horse race thing, I think we shouldn't worry about two-horse. We shouldn't even fight to have a multiple horse race anymore, because the two-horse race thing is going to end with Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga. Uhuru Kenyatta is going for his last time as president. Once the goal that he had set for his supporters is over, nobody will support him anymore. You remember the kingdom of Moi ended the moment he was no longer a presidential candidate. So was Kibaki's. This cultic following that is in Uhuru and Raila ends the moment there is nothing the people hope they will bring home. So the moment Raila's one bullet is fired, whether it gets what it's the target or not, and he says he goes home, that will be the end of the Raila cultic following, and so will be Uhuru's. And in the subsequent elections, I don't think there will be one person or two people who are going to control their masses this much, because we are going to deal with a nation that is very enlightened from now on. For you to get a cultic following, there are just two very important things. One, there must be a Canaan you are taking people to.
Right.
Like Raila is taking his people, and maybe Uhuru is also already in Canaan. I don't know that. And there also must be some enemy, real or perceived, that your people see you as protecting them from. That you can even see in the old days, even as days of Moses in Egypt. There was an enemy in the Egypt, and there was a Canaan they were going to. The moment this was achieved or ended, Israel did not even have a ruler anymore until the times of Saul. So this happens. So we are going to have a gap in between after Raila and Uhuru. There is nobody who's going to have this cultic following. Even Ruto, who came lately, does not have it. You can see people opposing him all over.
Right, so let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Of course, after Raila and Uhuru, this will be a great conversation to have. But we're still with Raila and Uhuru right now. Brian, like Odoyo just said, this is Raila Odinga's last bullet, so to speak, running for this position. And that even raises the stakes even higher in this presidential race. What is in store for Kenyans in this race?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he stands a good chance. And he has really been in the field for long enough to convince masses in terms of instilling them political confidence. And I think him standing that chance, I think, as he said that he has a last bullet remaining, I think it all depends on the age factor. Right now, I think he's between 73 and 74, if my friend Odoyo can give me that correction. And therefore, I think to me, it's not going to be the last bullet. And if you could listen to the interview that he conducted in one of the TVs, he said that the memorandum that he signed with the Kalonzo Musyoka will be actually subject to such other factors like winning. So if he wins, I think the memorandum, if he doesn't win, the memorandum is actually void. And that means that he still have some energies in terms of what he indicated, that he will still be having some energies to push for another term. And therefore, I'm not going to be, surprised if he says that he has now one more last bullet to go.
Right, and run again. Of course, the Kenyans will be in store for quite something. But we also had earlier on, just before you jump in, earlier on, reports that there will be 3 presidential debates. And of course, the question is, how are we going to fit all 18 aspirants there? So now it's been whittled down to 8 presidential aspirants. But there will also be a debate for their running mates, which we've seen, and that will be throwing a spanner into the works. We haven't seen that in Kenya before. Odoyo, in terms of the presidential running mates articulating the issues, which is in just about a month to come, what are you expecting from them?
First of all, the debate for the presidential candidate running mates will be more interesting. There will be less tension. A debate where we have Raila Odinga, Uhuru Kenyatta, and such top people as presidential candidates, it is very tense, even for the country, let alone the candidates. The best debate is from the running mates. It will be from Kalonzo Musyoka, William Ruto, and such people. We'll have very beautiful debate. Issues will be there. Attacks will be there and all that. But the presidential one is normally very tense. I watched it the last time, and I thought running mates will give us a better deal.
What are your thoughts on the presidential debate last time in terms of really forcing these issues out of these politicians, so to speak, when they do not articulate the issues right?
You remember Abduba Dida stole the show because he had nothing to lose.
The real comedy.
He had nothing to lose. But you see, these other two, in fact, it's like they were going to speak according to script that they had prepared earlier. In case they make a mistake and they go back to the back room and say, I told you to say this, and then you end up losing it. They are too cautious. Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga were too cautious that day. They were very selective on what they say. So that's how Abduba Dida stole the show, because Abduba Dida could come in with those sweet lines that people want to repeat, those pick-up lines that went trending for a long time.
Like you said, he had absolutely nothing to lose. Brian, your thoughts on this?
I think for one of the most significant issues that I would want to say, Michelle, is the way the debate will be conducted. You know, the atmosphere, the aura that's normally created within
just a moment, I hate to interrupt you, Brian, but let's link up with Murimi Mwangi, who's joining us live from Karen. He is with NASA flag bearer Raila Odinga, who is expected to make his way to the KICC to also submit his nomination papers. Murimi, talk to us about the atmosphere and the situation where you are.
Well, good morning, Michelle. Indeed, it is going to be a very busy day for former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. He's one of the 8 presidential contenders that are expected to present their papers before the IEBC between today and tomorrow. 4 of them doing that today. And of course, this is going to be the 4th stab that he is making at the presidency. A very important time for him, given that it is also a rematch between him and President Uhuru Kenyatta, who clinched the over 50+1% of the votes in 2013, clinching the presidency at the first round. And of course, he will be fighting to perhaps clinch the presidency now, because he has indicated that this is going to be his final stab at the presidency under NASA. And it has been presumed to be that he is making his final stab at the presidency. And therefore, today is a very important day for him. He is expected at All Saints Cathedral before his formal presentation of the papers at the KICC later today. And we understand he's still here at home. He was having some early morning meetings here, key strategy meetings that are crucial for all the presidential contenders. We understand that as he presents his papers later this morning, he will be accompanied by his running mate, Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka. And that is important, Michelle, because it will be the official, clearance of the air of the speculation that has been there about the presence of Kalonzo's name in the IEBC list of presidential contenders, much as Kalonzo and his Wiper Brigade has in the past said that that is not a cause for alarm. It is going to be important for the supporters of NASA across the country to perhaps understand the meaning of the coalition agreement that was signed under NASA, and which is expected to be deposited alongside the other nomination papers with the IEBC today. And therefore, it is an important day for the former Prime Minister, even as he prepares to leave his home here in Karen to depart to the All Saints Cathedral before he makes his way to the KICC and later for a public rally in Eastlands. Michelle.
That's a very packed itinerary there for Raila Odinga. But what time, Rimi, if you could, do we expect him to make his way to KICC today?
Well, we expect that before 9, he is expected to have left here in Karen. But the time for him to present his papers, remember, is from 11 at the KICC. But of course, what we understand is that from here, he will be making his way first to the All Saints Cathedral for a mass there before he proceeds to the KICC grounds to present his papers. Michelle.
And Murimi, of course, as you mentioned, he will be accompanied by his running mate, Kalonzo Musyoka. Will the other co-principals also be part of this, just as a team trying to clear up that error we saw in the IEBC with Kalonzo Musyoka also, of course, having taken his name there as a presidential aspirant?
Well, the brief that we had was that he would be accompanied by the other core principals under NAS, and we understand that we can get some pictures of him from inside the home with my cameraman Nyongesa, if we can make our way there now, so that we just get to know what he's doing now as he prepares to make his way to the All Saints Cathedral before making his way to the KICC. If we can just make our way there with my cameraman Nyongesa now, to just get to see what he's doing now as we wait to get to see him present his papers before the IEBC. It is a very important day for him. Remember, this is the 4th time that he is making a stab at the presidency. A very important day for him and for the millions of supporters under the National Super Alliance. We just get to see perhaps the preparations that are ongoing for him now as we await to see him make his way to... Yes, we are expecting him. This is the residence, so we will be getting to see him and perhaps get to hear from him what the day means to him with regard to the presidency, perhaps any time from now. Michelle.
We will let you do that. We'll cross over to you soon as Raila Odinga shows up. Of course, we expect him to address the media just before he leaves for the All Saints Cathedral and later on for the KICC. All right, and we continue the conversation here in studio as we keep an eye on Raila Odinga. Then, Brian, of course, just earlier on, you were finishing up on the presidential debate
Sure.
and the impact it had then and the impact it's likely to have this time.
Absolutely. I think the way last time it was conducted, it was tense in the way the questions were coined. And as a moderator, whoever was doing that did not actually make them feel free or flexible enough to, feel at home in terms of their conduct during the debate. And this is something that I always say, that if you look at other debates across, especially in the US, where the candidates are normally given all the leeway in terms of their ability to articulate issues and all that. They are not caged. They are not, they do not feel like they are in a rigid situation. They are free to articulate and they are able even to move around and even make contributions with a free sort of soul mind. But that need to be also, captured in the coming debate. The moderator need to understand that it doesn't need to cage people. It doesn't need to make them feel so rigid in terms of their conduct. You need to make them feel free to articulate issues. And when you create that environment where the questions are so structured that you expect a yes or no answer, or the answers that you expect are in a certain way, then you are limiting the people from thinkers or the debaters from thinking independently, because they have to think within a very narrow path. And therefore, this is a challenge to them to ensure that they create that flexibility within and to create a friendly environment. That aura has to ensure that people are able to think
Articulate
freely.
the issues. Do you agree with Odoyo that this is probably the running mates debate is probably going to be the most interesting, but are we going to see issues articulated from there? Because the point of this debate is for Kenyans to understand deeper the issues these guys are running on and the plans they have and the strategies they have to achieve those promises.
Absolutely. I think we cannot run away from the fact that this will be majorly between the two presidential hopefuls, especially Raila and Uhuru. But again, the focus on the DP now brings a new twist in the whole issue, because we have never seen them debating, having a one-on-one issue in terms of issues of politics. And this will be an intriguing moment for the two, as we also project how they are going to conduct themselves in the near future when they occupy the hill. So people are just being excited about a contest between Ruto and Kalonzo, owing to the fact that these two men have the gift of gab and they are able to punch holes into each other and tear each other apart. And therefore that combativeness that will be seen will be actually something that people are looking with a lot of anxiety. Personally, I'm also excited because Kalonzo is a good orator, coming from the issues of diplomatic coup missions and all that. His ability to articulate issue is unequivocally unmatched. Ruto on the other side is another guy you cannot mess up when it comes to debate and the politics of the day. So people are just excited to see how the two are going to match up even. But again, the real battle still is between Raila and Uhuru.
And Uhuru, of course, and we will be waiting with bated breath for those three presidential debates. But also speaking of Kalonzo, right now we're waiting on Raila Odinga, who is at his residence waiting to go to KICC. And Mrima Mwangi there tells us that he will be accompanied by his running mate, Kalonzo Musyoka, just to clear up that issue, the error that we saw within the IEBC. And Kalonzo Musyoka was also listed as a presidential candidate. But there was a lot of speculation that that was not an error, and it was very strategic on the part of Kalonzo Musyoka just to have his name there. Your thoughts on this?
I don't think it is Kalonzo to be asked about it, because first of all, it came when nobody had submitted the papers. So how did it come about that Kalonzo was also listed as a presidential candidate? Of course, we know that earlier his party had forwarded him as a presidential candidate, and all these other parties in NASA. Of course, Jubilee is one single party.
Right.
But I did not see Mudavadi's name there. I did not see
Wetangula's name
Wetangula. In fact, Wetangula was also declared a presidential candidate by his party, Ford Kenya, but they didn't. So I think there was somebody mischievously bringing that news out, that Kalonzo is also a presidential candidate, something they didn't bring about Wetangula. They didn't bring about the other principals, Mudavadi. So I think it was just mischief. You know, politics is about disorganizing your opponents. So maybe somebody used some means underground to disorganize the opponents, to create panic in the strongholds of NASA. But nevertheless, Kalonzo will appear today in public as a running mate, and the whole scenario will be sorted.
Brian, your thoughts on this?
I think, first of all, we have to understand that there was some sort of mistrust between Raila and Kalonzo and all the players in the run to coming up with one candidate. And as a clever politician, everybody can do that, whatever Kalonzo did and his team, whether he was privy or not to the issues of sending his name to the IEBC. I think, to me, if I was him, I would still do the same. By a way of showing people that I'm serious with taking another job at the presidency. I'll show people that I'm not just a pushover when it comes to negotiations, and that played for him, because the other camp, you know, essentially understood that Kalonzo was not mincing his word in terms of his quest for the presidency, and therefore that upped his stake in terms of gaining power, and he became bigger than before. And because Raila knew, oh, Kalonzo has a name, his name is, so I have to treat him in a certain way, other than just treating him casually. So therefore it played for him, and it's a political strategy that Wiper played, and if I were a strategist for them, I would still do the same, because it would actually give me more mileage, it will give me more bargaining power, it will give me more, you know, attractiveness in terms of being able to participate in a negotiating table. So to me, I do not see anything wrong, and they have actually come openly and said that they are going to pull out the name from IEBC, and that's not something to worry about. But it is a scheming. It is a good plot for someone.
It was definitely some mischief there. But do you think, Roy, that this probably did any damage to NASA's electorate in terms of trusting the core principles, first of all, and even just within the NASA coalition itself?
I don't think it has any serious effect, because you remember even before, Kalonzo had been saying it is either him or the highway.
Right.
And even that did not dampen the hopes of Nazarenes. These people are ready. These people are ready for battle, and they keep hope in every little thing. In fact, nothing is going to distract this team, because you remember the support base of Raila Odinga, right from coast to western, have been waiting for this thing for, I think this is the third attempt, and they are not even battle fatigued. They are ready for battle. In fact, now they are more enthusiastic with their 10 million strong, more than they were in the previous years.
Right. I mean, let's focus on the fact that even just away from the two horses, we've had the likes of Nazlin Umar run for president for, I mean, as long as we can remember, you know. And for the first time, I mean, she's not in this list of 8 presidential candidates, which is rather new. But the perception has been, if you're not among the two horses, then just keep at it, you know, just keep at it, because you will not win, you know, for the first time. So keep at it, and eventually it's going to work out for you. But where are the likes of Nazlin Omar going wrong in terms of appealing to the electorate?
I think this is not synonymous with Kenya. In other countries, you'll also find others with that tag in terms of the chain. And Nazlin Omar has been there before. She's going to be there. Abdida was there. He's going to be there. And others who have been there and are going to be there too. But again, I also want to say that when you do, some people will do that for many reasons. One, they'll do this for political passion, just to say that my name has been on the presidential ballot at one point. When I die, at least somebody will read that he was a presidential contender at one point, and that increases their premium. Secondly, someone would run as a president just to create that kind of attractiveness when it comes to consideration for jobs. One would not mince his words when he says that the likes of Nyaga, who have been in the presidential, advisor for the president, now looks to have to give himself more clout, to give himself more attractiveness so that he can be quoted for something else bigger for that matter. But the likes of Omar, I think those are, Nazlina, these are the ones who run for passion. And you cannot take it away from them. They are not interested, even if you tell them, get this slot to work. They might even turn it away.
That's what we're proposing. And so the question is, are we likely to see, because from the presidential debate, we're also going, like Abdu Badida, he came out of that presidential debate as somebody Kenyans want to know about.
A hero.
So yes, as a hero, so to speak, because everybody is asking, who is this man, Abdu Badida? So in this time, we're going to have 2 presidential debates and one for the running mates. Are we likely to see one of these 8, or at least the other 6 rather, come out very strongly in a way that might shift perceptions of Kenyans?
I even suspect that it is Abdu Badida's performance that made some people say, even me, probably I could get all this high profile. But for Nazlin Umar, I think she just wants publicity. I think she just wants to raise her profile. She likes attention because this is a game she has been playing from time I can remember. And she's doing nothing about it, and she's going nowhere. A serious presidential candidate, she was just being disqualified because she didn't submit a university degree. This is something she has known for the last 5 years that will be required.
But how is it that she's been on the ballot before without that degree?
Was she there in the last general election? She wasn't there. The other ones earlier, she was there because it was not necessary. But in the 2013, she was not there. And I don't know why she thought this time she would. I think she just wanted to be in the newspaper lines or somewhere here, there.
Right. I mean, so it's an interesting conversation. And I mean, the likes of Nazlin Umar, for the presidential independent candidates, now we have Michael Wanaina and Joseph Nyaga. And of course, you've rubbished the fact that, as Odoyo pointed out, that the independent candidates might sort of push further the likes of Ekuru Okot from the Third Way Alliance. But do you think they have any clout whatsoever?
No, I do not think so.
All right, again, just to stop you there, Raila Odinga, I understand, is ready now to make his way to the KICC. He is at his residence in Karen, where our reporter Murimi Mwangi is. Let's cross over there and take a look at what's going on.
So let's get to hear what he has to say.
Heavenly Father, in the name of Jesus Christ, thank you for this wonderful, beautiful
All right, that there is NASA flag bearer Raila Odinga, of course, coming out with his wife, Ida Odinga, there just before making their way to the KICC to submit his nomination papers. And as you can see there, prayers ongoing. Let's listen in.
For him to go and present his papers with the IEBC. I pray, God, that you will go before him. I pray, God, that you will order his steps and even his stops. Bless him, Lord, as we come out of the house. Bless him as we go to the KICC. And bless him even as he goes through Nairobi to Jacaranda grounds to speak to the Kenyans in Nairobi. Lord, I pray that you shall anoint him. You shall cover him with your precious blood. Protect him with your hedges of protection and give him wisdom and knowledge that comes from you. I pray for Mama Ida. Give her the wisdom and the knowledge and the support that she gives him. as his helper and his wife and the incoming First Lady. I thank you and I bless you for this wonderful time. Bless him, God, and bless Kenya. For it is in Jesus' name I pray and believe. Amen.
Thank you. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
How do you feel?
I'm okay. I'm fine.
How do you feel very elated about this day? What are the prospects? You look in high spirits.
No, we are very high spirits generally. Today is basically significant in the sense that we are going to present our document to the IEBC, and that is going to be the formal nomination so that the official campaign can start for the elections which will be held on the 8th of August this year.
This is the fourth time you're doing it. What does the day-to-day symbolize for you and the larger NASA family?
It is a special day for us in the NASA family. As you know, it has taken us time to get the NASA vehicle together. We now are here as NASA, and we mentioned just a few days ago that the journey has begun. And this is a crucial moment for us. It is one of the defining moments in this journey. We are determined to join Kenyans to bring change to our country. So we are calling this the culmination of many years of the struggle by the people of Kenya to reach the glory land. And today we are going to be talking about our journey through the desert and to where we are today. And we are poised to cross the river to reach the glory land. So this is going to be my message today.
Mama Ida, today is also a good day for you. How do you feel about it?
I'm happy about today. Today is a significant day in the lives of Kenya and also in our life as a family. And I'm delighted it has come. I would say this is the day that the Lord has made. We should be happy, be glad, and rejoice in it.
You feel that this is the time?
This is the time. This is the right time. And the time is here. The time has come.
Thank you.
You've done this before. How different is it for you this time as compared to other times?
Well, I've done it before. But you know, the last two other times, I knew that you were in to succeed. And so is today. It has never been brighter than it is today.
So this is the time that Raila will be the president?
This is the time. This is the time. But I'm not only looking at him, but I'm looking and thinking about all the Kenyans. It has been a long way. I think when the struggle began, in my part, it must have started way back before some of you were born, way back in 1982. And it has been a long journey. We are coming to the end of the journey.
So we're going to let them leave because they're heading to the church that has been is former Prime Minister Raila Odinga and the wife Ida as they make their way to the All Saints Cathedral. A big day for them, so to speak, as he presents his nomination papers to the IEBC. A big day for him. He is making his fourth stab at the presidency. A rematch with President Uhuru Kenyatta come the August election as he heads to present his nomination papers, and we will try get you those pictures as he heads into his vehicle to, of course, make his way to the All Saints Cathedral, as we said. And they say that this is the day for him. He has tried it before, and he is saying that he's confident it is going to be his time this time around. As you can see, he is about to make his way to the All Saints Cathedral before heading to the KICC, just about to leave his current home. As you can see, those are live pictures from his current home. We will be giving you the live exclusive pictures as he makes his way to the church and even to the KICC. As you can see, he's heading into his vehicle now. Signs clear that he is definitely about to make his way to the church before he can head to the KICC. a big day for him, as you can see, and he is keen to, of course, make his way to the church and then head to the KICC. As you can see, live pictures coming for you there, exclusively on KTN News, as the former Prime Minister makes his way out of his current home. Live pictures for you there, as we try and get you the pictures of him leaving his home. And there he goes, leaving his current home now to, of course, make that very important journey of the day that he gets the official nomination of his National Super Alliance into the presidency. Tuingie kwa gari twende.
All right, and that is Raila Odinga there making his way to the All Saints Cathedral before he presents his nomination papers to the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. And we've seen him there speak alongside his wife, Ida Odinga. They're saying this is the time. And of course, Muribi Mwangi did tell us earlier on that Raila Odinga has also stated publicly that this will be his last stab at the presidency under the NASA ticket. So let's finish up here with our panelists in studio, governance expert Brian Mutie and political analyst Odoyo Owidi. Brian, we're seeing a lot of divine intervention being used before making their way to the KICC.
Absolutely.
But your thoughts on, he seems very confident, even submitting his nomination papers. Your thoughts on what he's said and what his wife has said, that this is the time and there's no other way and no other option other than to him to become the president of Kenya.
Absolutely. First of all, Michelle, I do not envy what journalists go through to get the story.
Muribi Mwangi actually is doing a very great job there.
Doing a very great job. And I want to say that this is significant for him, seeking that kind of divine intervention, seeking a situation where you and your God are having a relationship in terms of chanting the way forward for this country. To me, I think Raila is taking the right pose, is taking the right direction, starting from that point of view. And I think every leader would want to go through the same process. And having, gone through the process, asked for presidency 3 to 4 times, I think this is the time now he needs God more closer than before. And again, you can see age is also catching up with him. I think he would want to see a situation where at least God answers his last prayer.
All right.
And also for Ida, I think she is a strong woman. She has gone through a lot of pain, losing his elder son. I think that gave her a lot of beating psychologically. And at least now we can see she's actually trying to punch some few punches here and there. I think that is a show of resilience for a woman of her nature. And to them, I wish them well as they seek that divine intervention.
Of course, Owidi, your final thoughts on this?
I think Raila this time around has gone very biblical, very religious. But this reminds me of a case of the Bible. You remember when the Israelites were leaving Egypt, they were attacked by a community called Amaleks. But after some time, God decided to revenge for them, and Samuel anointed King Saul to do the revenge on behalf of Israel. In Lowland now and Western, it is going that this is the time for revenge. You remember Raila's father, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, is said to have got Kenyatta out of prison and made him president. It is time now for the reverse to happen, for the son of Jomo to go home and son of Jaramogi to become the president of the Republic of Kenya.
And of
now,
course,
this is very well believed, and I know what you believe does happen.
Of course, the voter at the ground, of course, decides. But those are a cartoon, just on a light touch, a cartoon on The Nation last week, I believe, and the depiction was Raila Odinga leading his people to Canaan. I think he was depicted as Joshua. But then Wanjiku there at the back asking him, Joshua, did you ever consider consider that the promised land you're taking Kenyans might have been grabbed. So, I mean, let's hope that it all plays out well. But thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us in studio. Governance expert Brian Mutie and political analyst Odoyo Owidi joining us for a great conversation, really dissecting the 8 presidential candidates who will be submitting the nomination papers to the IEBC at KICC. You are watching Weekend Express. Take a short